Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. I know you're watching us on Verizon 32 or Comcast 7 live right now, so we appreciate that. Check out our show on YouTube, Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. We just hit 1,280 likes thanks to Pittsburgh Sports Pride. This guy, Jim Kaiser, is relentless. He's been helping us out throughout the Facebook pages and everything, so thanks again, Jim. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And it's boosted us up. And I want to introduce you. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip, the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier. Little Z's missing in action with his plumber's degree. He's still working on it, Smoking Jim. He said before Thanksgiving he'll be back. So we'll look forward to that. And we always do a segment, What's on Our Mind? And we're going to start with that right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got the C. Levine. Hey, what's on my mind is going to be real quick. You know, last week was what I call Upset Friday.
Okay.
The number 8 team in the country, Louisville Cardinals, who has a NFL prospect at quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, was upset by Central Florida, and the score was 38-35. The powerhouse Gateway football team was upset by Penn Trafford, 35-34, and they'll redeem themselves Thursday by blowing out McKeesport. And also, I was at Geneva College, and
a traveling man.
Yeah, and there was almost an upset there where the number 1 team in the state, Aliquippa, was down to the number 4 team in the state, Beaver Falls, 14-0 early in the first half, and it took a miracle finish at the end of the game. Aliquippa's running back Swanson ran a 58-yard touchdown when most people thought he was down and the whistle blew and everybody gave up. With time expiring, he ran into the end zone, and it was a very controversial play. But they ended up beating Beaver Falls 34-28. And in my opinion, finally, the best team in AA is South Fayette. And Aliquippa, get ready, because South Fayette's going to see you at Heinz Field, and that's what's on my mind.
Well, thanks, Smoking Jim. We appreciate that. And I'm surprised you didn't report on one of our guests on our show named Collins. He played between the Steeler game at halftime.
He sure did.
Give a little report there. I want to get that out
Caleb Collins, who is 13 years old. Matter of fact, I talked to some of the coaches already from Rochester High School, and they already told me he's going to start varsity in football in 9th grade, which would be next year.
Wow.
Last year, he was rated as one of the top 100 football players in his age group in the country and was invited to play in a all-star game in Miami, Florida, did very well. But Brookline, which is Grakowski's, where he grew up, in Rochester, where Derek Moy grew up, those two teams played off each other in Major League Football at halftime. And I tell you what, it was a very entertaining game. And Caleb Collins on defense looked like Troy Polamalu. He was all over the field. They lined him up, man. He did everything but hurdled the center and to block the kick, you know. But and offensively, he was unstoppable. So
when are we going to see him in Gator Gold?
Well, you know I'm working on that, brother.
No recruiting yet.
Him and Jalen Shafino is going to be the dream back to the Gateway in a few years.
Okay, I just wondered.
Any open apartments or jobs opening up?
Well, if you ever seen his aunt, Anae Collins, and if you ever seen Jalen's mom, Angel Shafino, I have room available at my house.
Whoa. All right, thanks, Smoking Jim. What's on your mind? I don't want to go any further there, folks. It's a family show and a sports show. We do cover a lot of ground here.
Short or tall, I love them all.
All right, Chip the Prophet Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, man. You know, Smoking Jim, you always keep me on my A game because Jim is a tough act to follow.
Yes, he is.
But a couple of things are on my mind. And the first, I'd like to recognize some of the achievements of the Pittsburgh Pirates with Francisco Liriano winning the National League Comeback Player of the Year award. He won that yesterday. Clint Hurdle was voted National League Manager of the Year this year. And this is not the only awards that the Pirates are going to gather in this fall, because the soon-to-be-named National League MVP, Andrew McCutchen, will bring home the...
Really?
Quite confident. I'm quite confident. But, tip my hats to the accomplishments of the Pittsburgh Pirates. But what's really on my mind?
Wow, that was a big butt.
I have been doing this show here with my friends Alan Levine, the Talking Machine, and Smoking Jim Frazier for about 2 years now. And if there's one thing I've been known for is to lambaste a certain commissioner of a major sports endeavor, and that would be my good friend Roger Goodell in the NFL. And once again, I think the NFL is just suffering black eye after black eye, and Roger Goodell is showing how much of a joke he is as a commissioner. His main interest is in trying to make more money and more money and more money for the NFL, and he does it under the auspices of trying to make the game safer for the players. Well, see, where should I start?
The beginning.
Okay, the beginning. Roger Goodell finally suspended somebody this year for an illegal hit to the head. They suspended Brandon Merriweather, who is a defensive back for the Washington Redskins, formerly of the New England Patriots, and this is the 7th or 8th time that he has been fined. And they fined him last week, okay, not this past week, and they fined him last week for $31,000 for hitting somebody to the head. So he made 2 plays in this game on Sunday. Both plays were helmet-to-helmet hits on opposing players. So now they're going to suspend him for 2 games. Well, Brandon Merriweather, the only reason why anybody knows his name is because he's a headhunter. He deliberately goes and tries to incapacitate people by going for the head, which is something that's been outlawed. And a 2-game suspension is a joke. I think what they should do, if they want to send a message that they want to eliminate this kind of behavior from football, suspend him for a year. And then put him back up for reinstatement. And he ought to beg the union to let him back in, because his union brothers are the ones that he's trying to take out. Doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. And then you've got Nottingham Sue. And this is the buffoon from the Detroit Lions, who once again continues to be the dirtiest player in the league, gets fined, and he keeps getting fined, and he keeps getting fined, and he says that he's not going to change the way he plays the game. He stomps people's guts, on national TV on Thanksgiving. I mean, he's just totally a classless and dirty player. He's another guy that should be taking a seat for a year and let him think about what he wants to do. If you take a year's salary away from these guys, that's sending a message that the behavior won't be accepted. Now, to further worry about the safety of the players, so what we've done now is we now have Thursday night football games every week of the season. And I've even heard there are talks confirmed by Jerry Jones that they're thinking about making Thursday nights a doubleheader.
Wow.
Now, I personally... I am boycotting Thursday night football. I'm totally against Thursday night football. Wow. Unless the Steelers are playing, I will not watch a single Thursday night football game this year. And the reason being is there's no way you can tell me the size and speed of the players that are in the NFL now that they can recover in 2.5 days and play a full game on Thursday night. The quality of play is sloppy. More players are getting injured. And if you look every weekend, the list of injuries are getting longer and longer. And we're not going to have players that can't remember what their names are. We're going to have crippled players walking around in wheelchairs by the time they're 50. So I think, they really ought to do something and try to concern themselves with player safety. Football games for the NFL should be played Sunday or Monday night. No exceptions. But that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. You covered a lot of ground there, buddy. I appreciate it.
Some revisiting there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have some revisitation, but I want to first thank Bethel Park for, this is our 2nd anniversary, and we've been doing, this will be our 105th live show. So I do have a streak of 105. It's going pretty strong right now. I don't know if I can keep it up much longer.
Is Lou Gehrig's record? What is it? Cal Ripken's record?
I got some other streaks with the other shows. But as I'm thanking Bethel Park, I want to give a special thanks to Dave Cable and the community here for letting us be here and go out in the neighborhoods. We're getting so much great feedback. We're seeing from the north, Cranberry, Wexford, the city of Pittsburgh, as far away as Uniontown. So we are getting the word out about BPTV. I've also been able to produce a couple extra shows. We have True View Ministries. We did this Ring of Hope against domestic violence, where they're going to be broadcasting that show. Wow. We've done a show with Jessica Lee, a couple of those shows. We've also done Rev 'em Up for kids here in the Community Day. So we're out there doing a lot of good, and we appreciate it. We do a lot of fundraising. So if you listen to us and watch us, contribute to these other people that are doing fundraising, and any fundraising events that you have and you want to publicize, go to Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook or contact me. You can give me a phone call. My number's out there everywhere, 412-973-9611. Just ask for Alan Levine. Al, you can call me Al, or you can call me the Talking Machine. Just get a hold of me. Now, we have a special guest coming in, because this is our second anniversary show. He was actually on our second show 2 years ago, and he's a well-known announcer in the area. He announces football games in Plum. He's a legend. He's my mentor in ring announcing, because we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's Andy Sebastian. Now, he had such a long journey to come all the way in from Plum. We're going to go to a commercial in the next couple seconds, and I heard he's here now, so we're going to bring Andy in right after the commercial. So take it away, guys. This is live TV, and we're winging it here, so I'll see you in a couple minutes. Welcome back. That was a nice 2-minute commercial. We have the legend, Andy Sebastian. Made it in. He just told us how tough 51 was, and we all know how that is. We're going to go What's on Our Mind with Andy Sebastian. Welcome to our second anniversary show.
Thank you, and congratulations on your second anniversary. You've been on the road too, right? You got
Yes,
some
we
road
have.
shows going?
Yeah.
Sips Corner still going for you?
Yeah, it's going. We did our 35th show there.
Wow.
So,
really
and you're
cool.
welcome back there. You and your son can come out, Andrew, anytime you want.
Well, thank you.
Just
I'd
tell
love
us
to-
when you want to come by.
I'd love to take care of that. Well, in my world of high school football and boxing, this high school football thing, I'm really irritated about one particular facet of it right now. There's a lot of disparity in the way the WPIAL has lined up these various teams in various conferences. For example, there are some real, what I like to call doormats, I guess, teams out there that get shoved into certain conferences, forced to travel long distances to play a football game, which cuts down on the fan base because they don't want to travel through 2 traffic zones to get to a football game at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And Plum is one of the victims. We're currently 0-8 on the season. We were 0-9 last year. We're now on a 26-game losing streak, consecutive losses. And we're losing fans. We're losing support from the kids. It's just a nightmare. We're kind of outclassed because we're in a conference. It's making us travel out here. We came out to Bethel Park this year.
I know.
Got our hats handed to us.
Upper St. Clair as
Upper
well?
St. Clair and Mount Lebanon and Baldwin and Bethel Park.
Wow.
It just
Sounds like Murderer's Row.
it is. It is. We got
Especially
one.
when you got Gateway, Penn Hills, Franklin Regional, Latrobe, all that right there.
Absolutely. So I think the WPO has to sit down and realign, at least at the Quad A level, some fairness into their realignment. Even if we wind up in a lesser class of Quad A football teams, we may not ever go to Heinz Field, but at least every week we're going to play some competitive football games.
Right.
Question I have for you, and you know, do you think Plum is playing above its head in Quad A, that it may be, you know, it would be better suited to play in Triple A?
Well, we belong there because of our enrollment. As a matter of fact, our enrollment went up again this year.
Okay.
So we do belong at the Quad A level. I can't argue that. Our numbers keep us there. The problem is that we're in a conference that doesn't allow us to be very competitive.
Yeah.
And as I say, that's taking its toll on fan support, player interest. It's just getting out of control. For example, we had this year 26 points scored by us in 8 games versus over 400 against us. So the average score is like 50-3. It just is not a good situation.
No.
The WPO can correct that. They threw us into that conference. There's a little out of balance. They got Gateway, in my opinion, in a conference where they don't belong.
There's one of the biggest fans
Well,
and promoters
I
at Gateway.
understand. You know, they're our neighbor. They're having a cakewalk every Friday.
Except last Friday.
Except, that sometimes argues the other way.
Right,
you know,
right.
A
We're not
smaller
gonna-
school, you know, they would tell you, well, look at Penn Trafford, look at Upper St. Clair. In a way, it's on the low end of the enrollment, and yet they have a powerful football. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that it's not
Get
fun.
the committee and put Andy Sebastian on there to get to the bottom of
Instead
it.
of picking the power schools and deciding they're going to head these other conferences and then just throw in film, should make it geographically make sense.
Yeah, because you
You know,
got
because
Norway.
you develop rivalries. Yeah. The fans can come and see their children. The parents can go see their children play at the opposing school instead of. I mean, to come from Plum to Upper St. Clair, that's a haul, and especially on a Friday night in rush hour
absolutely.
traffic. That's
And
a
Bethel
2.5 hour
especially
drive.
too.
Well, and
Bethel,
last
too.
year we went to Cannon Mac and drove to
Wow.
Canonsburg.
That's
My
right.
wife and I went there, took 2.5 hours to get there.
Yeah.
We left at 4 o'clock, didn't get there till almost kickoff.
Yeah, that's insane.
3 traffic jams on the way, the Parkway, the Fort Pitt tunnels, and out at Bridgeville on 79.
Yeah, because
That's
there's always an
ridiculous.
accident
Always
there.
something there.
Yes.
That's
That's terrible.
correct.
But
Hey,
see,
we're going to talk boxing after
Oh,
this, so
I'm ready
finish
for
your
that.
finish your Plum thing.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that this is the realignment year coming up. The WPO will realign. We will not be, Plum in particular, will not be realigned to AAA because our enrollment is up.
Okay.
But perhaps a change in the conference balance, giving us a little more geography
Yes.
as part of the factor.
It should be.
And if we can go geography, that will make it more competitive too, because we'll wind up there with the Norwins, the Connellsvilles,
Latrobe.
the Kiskies,
Yeah,
Kiski,
Kiski. That's
schools
all.
like that.
That's all
So
natural rivalries.
that's all I'm
Yeah.
hoping and
You're
praying
right.
for.
Well-
You know, before I get out of that booth up there, I'd like to have a little fun. I'm not having any fun now.
No, yeah, I can
We
understand.
sense that.
I
If anybody
understand
should
that.
have fun, this
And
is
the
one of the
fans
greatest
are.
I
announcers.
wholeheartedly support your endeavor
Yeah,
there.
thank you.
Wholeheartedly.
Thank
But just one thing to add to that, El Levine, if you allow me. One
Take
year,
2 minutes.
One year
Two.
During Gateway's championship run, they talk about when the Gateway played a a great Mount Lebanon team that had Kurt Angle. You guys heard of him, the Olympic hopeful.
I know the family, buddy.
Yeah, and Gateway made him go wrestling, but the playoff game.
He was the baby of the family. You don't understand.
Yeah, Mark was. But the playoff game, Andy, was at Baldwin High School. That was the playoff site. So Mount Lebanon went to Baldwin. Gateway's fans didn't get to the Baldwin until almost halftime because of all the traffic. And so I can understand. So if Gateway had to do that every week, like Plum had to do that, you would see the fans hardly not going to the games because it doesn't make any sense. If you work on Friday, you can't get to the games.
After being stuck in a school bus for 2.5 hours, that's going to demoralize the team before they even get off the bus.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah.
So you go to a game and you see a lot of the parents of the players and maybe an uncle or a brother or something.
Yeah.
But the real hardcore fans don't want to make those trips.
No, I don't
It's too
blame
hard
them.
on a Friday night to navigate that.
Very good point.
You make some great points, Andy, and I hope they straighten that out. At least cut the travel time down. Players on the team, that's got to be a little difficult because who wants to play for that team?
But don't move Gateway out of that conference. We like the cupcakes.
Hey, no cupcakes there, buddy. You got to move on.
Is that why they trip and stumble on their way to Heinz Field every year?
Yeah. Well, I don't blame them. Andy, we do another segment on the show where we revisit what we talked about, what's on our mind. We're not covering yours anymore because these guys jumped in already. We can't settle it. The powers that be are going to have to do it.
Absolutely.
But Smoking Jim, if you want to revisit something or,
No, I think
you've covered everything. Chip?
I've kind of espoused my feelings about the current state of the NFL.
All right, well, we'll move on. We do another segment about Sip Sports Bar, and I want to talk about that. We had a great cast of characters and guests on there. You got to come out there. They have Sunday nights trivia night. Monday night is Pittsburgh Sportsline night, and it's a great crowd there. People from all over, from golfers, basketball, wrestling, you name it. We're covering everything in the area. And Brandy and Kelly are fantastic at the bar there. Tuesday nights is Don Campiti's night. I know him and his wife are watching till I mention that. They have, 50 cents a slice. How about that? 50 cents a slice of pizza at Sip Sports Bar. That's a special there, Andy. We'll have to talk. We're not talking about Rudy's Subs yet, but we might. Then Wednesday night is a special night. It's supposed to be ladies' night, but Smoking Jim Frazier keeps coming with some smoking women, I heard. I get the reports on his night. It's dollar drink nights. I don't know if they changed the price on the drinks because Smoking Jim's in the house, but they're packing the place on that night. Thursday night is one of my favorite nights there. It's wing night, 25 cents. Dan's great on the coffee. They run a nice tight ship there, and the food's great there. Friday night they have entertainment, karaoke, and other things there. You can go for happy hour from 4 to 7, 3024 West Liberty Avenue. Check the place out. See us on a Monday night. We have some great guests lined up for this Monday. I can't tell you who they are. Some of them haven't confirmed yet, but it'll be a great show. So thanks for coming out, and we appreciate the great feedback. Now we're going to go to one of the segments that I enjoy, Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. I'm so honored to sit next to my hero, Andy. But you know what? This one's taking us back to 2007.
Wow.
Prior to 2007, Perry High School had some outstanding quarterbacks. You might have heard of Rod Rutherford. Went on to set some records at the University of Pittsburgh. After that, Perry had a white quarterback named Scott Knapp, who put up some great numbers and went to Duquesne University. And after that, they had Brentley play quarterback that broke the records of all those previous quarterbacks. And he had a scholarship offer to Akron University, and should have taken that scholarship offer. This is prior to the season, but he was waiting for Pitt to offer, which that offer never came. And so Akron went and gave their scholarship to somebody else. So after the season was over, he had no scholarship offers after they won the city and lost in the PIAA, and found out how difficult recruiting was, even though he was a 6'3" quarterback with a gun for an arm at 230 pounds. However, being that he was a black quarterback, surprisingly, he didn't have much mobility. And so he had a offer to go to a prep school. It was even in the paper that he had signed with a prep school. Prep school was $20,000 a year. The scholarship was $13,000. And his parents didn't have the other $7,000, so they called me. So I called Akron, and former Central Catholic outstanding quarterback was the offensive coordinator there, Moorhead, who is now the head coach at Fordham University. And I asked him to reconsider the scholarship. He said no. So I called Howard University, and they said, brother don't have enough mobility to play for Howard. So I called New Hampshire, and New Hampshire reluctantly gave him a scholarship offer, even though they didn't want him. But, you know, for me, they did. But his dad turned it down because he didn't like the black and white ratio in New Hampshire. So I called my good friend Dennis Dirt Winston, who was defensive coordinator at the time at Grambling University. And they gave him a full scholarship, and he went there, and he lasted at Grambling for 3 months. And he said the conditions were so poor and it was so bad that he could not stay there. And I was disappointed at the time because he had a full scholarship. But now if you look at the things that's happening at Grambling University right now, and I guess he wasn't that far off, because the conditions at that traditionally black college program that was some of the best football in the world at one time. Not only the bands, but they were sought after to play all over. Grambling even played here at Three Rivers Stadium before Pittsburgh Steelers took Frank Lewis in the draft from Grambling at one time. So that's fiction and facts from Smoking Jim Almanac. Brentley was right that the conditions was Grambling was pretty much unlivable. So.
And Dennis Dirt Winston is now the head coach at Grambling.
He is, as of, I just talked to him this past weekend, they fired the interim coach. And Dennis Winston told me that he had met with the players and they're going to proceed on with the program. So I was happy for him. Hopefully he'll keep that job. But I told him that he may want to call the coach in waiting at Robert Moore's Banaszak and see if he can get that defensive coordinator job at Robert Moore.
Well, he's friends with him. He knows him well. So.
Sure does.
Well, Smoking Jim, what I take away from your fiction and fact is this. Any parent that has a child that can play football should call Smoking Jim Frazier, because he just named a half a dozen schools. And anybody that tenacious and relentless, I want them getting my kid in college, even if it's New Hampshire. You're getting them a ride to school to get an education, too. So my hat goes off to Smoking Jim Frazier. Give him a call.
Hey, thanks. I get 7 to 12 kids scholarships every year to school, so proud of that.
Great job, Jim.
Good for you.
Congrats.
Great job.
We got general studies majors all over the country.
Hold it.
There's a lot of generals they can study.
All right, enough. We revisited stuff we're not revisiting. All right, we're going to go to Chip's trivia time here, and he has some gems and nuggets, as he calls it.
Yeah.
Here we go with Chip's trivia time.
Thanks, Alan. And you know, this year I've been the baseball guy, and you know, being that tomorrow night the World Series starts, I thought, wouldn't it be appropriate if I came up with some fun and interesting facts about the World Series? So, you know, I'm just going to blast through these pretty quickly on what was noteworthy about the 1971 World Series. The first night game in World Series history was played at Three Rivers Stadium.
Really?
Yes, sir. In 1968. Now, 1968 was considered the year of the pitcher. This was the year that the pitchers dominated Major League Baseball, and the year that Major League Baseball, after the season was over, lowered the pitcher's mound. Bob Gibson struck out a record 17 Detroit Tigers in Game 1 of the 1968 World Series. Pretty amazing feat. Who was the MVP of that series? Starting pitcher for the Detroit Tigers named Mickey Lolich. Mickey Lolich pitched.
He was a big boy, too.
Pitched on
a very big man.
2 days rest. He won Game 7 and he outdueled Bob Gibson. The interesting fact about this is that he won 3 games in that World Series, and he pitched complete games in all 3 of them.
Wow.
I remember.
That will never happen again.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Okay, next, Reggie Jackson is famous for hitting 3 home runs in 1 game. The significant fact about the 3 home runs that he hit, each of the home runs that he hit on the first pitch. The American League team from Boston won the first World Series, defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates 5-3. It was a 9-game series. The games were played down at Exposition Park on the north side. What was Boston's team's nickname?
Redskins.
The Boston Pilgrims.
And John Wayne wasn't around. Pilgrim.
Okay, and now here's another interesting one I found here. In which series were 2 brothers the winning pitchers in all 4 games, won by the series winner? 1934, the St. Louis Cardinals.
Deans.
The Dean brothers, Dizzy and Paul, each won 2 games. Something I'm sure is never going to happen again. Which was the last series won by the Boston Red Sox in the 20th century? That was in 1918. And the last year that the Chicago White Sox won the World Series in the 20th century was 1917. And it was in 1919 that they became the Chicago Black Sox when the World Series was thrown, and they were punished by not winning another World Series until well into the 2000s. Which series was the first in which all games were played in the same ballpark? 1921, the Yankees played the Giants. They both played at the Polo Grounds in New York. That was their home field. Before that was pre-Yankee Stadium.
There was no house that Ruth built yet.
No, sir. And last but not least, which series was the first to be played in one city? You know, you think about the New York City had 3 teams. Chicago was the first. The Cubs played the White Sox,
Wow,
and the White Sox beat the Cubs.
That's a good nugget you brought out there.
Now the reason I brought up the World Series, and we know the World Series starts tomorrow night. The Cardinals are playing the Red Sox, and I'm going to go out on a limb and make my prediction for the series. Cardinals in 5. And my other prediction is that the Red Sox are going to lose, just as the Bruins lost in the Stanley Cup final. And I'm looking for the New England Patriots to make it to the Super Bowl and lose.
Whoa.
So 3 of the 4 teams in Boston are going to lose major championships this year. But that's just my little wish list.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate the trivia time. I'm going to put a little segment out here. We had an event where we brought our magazine cover out, and we had a great time at the Savoy Restaurant and Lounge. And it was just a great time. We had close to 150 people there. It was so packed. We were trying to film it. And I know I talk a lot, but I didn't get a chance to interview anybody. So we have a lot of what they call B-roll here that they taught me since I'm producer of the show. But we had a great time. The magazine's coming out in November, and we're going to have a lot of great people writing. We got a lot of advertisers coming on board. So, John, I don't know if you got a close-up on that. We're trying to get that cover out there, buddy. Can you pull in on that, my man?
Who are some of the writers you have in there, Alan?
Right now, you're sitting next to one of them.
Good man.
We also have a gentleman who does wrestling in Pittsburgh. He become a friend of our show. His name is Tom Lettergy, Trapper Tom he's known at. We had another guy that did baseball on the radio, Bob Middleman. Bobby Middleman. He's written a couple articles. We're also partnering up with Urban Media Today. It's an online website, and they broadcast a lot of shows. They're going to take our show and put it out there. One of their writers is a sports writer, this Ray Porter Jr. He's going to write an article. Then I have a lady, the Empress of Biz, Joanne Forrester. She's also going to write an article about, she was the only daughter in the family, and her dad used to take her to every game, back to Forbes Field, hockey. So we're going to get a story from Joanne coming out there. And we may be talking to you about some future writing if you want to, just so you know. And, you know, we appreciate Andy and everything he's done. We have a segment, we'll get to boxing's coming up. And when you guys hear, if you've missed Andy before, wait till you hear about boxing and some of the things going on. And I have to thank him for giving me an opportunity like Wally Pipp. He gave me a Wally Pipp moment there, and we'll talk about that. So we have a lot of great things coming. We have about 18 advertisers that are lined up right now, and we're moving forward on it. It'll be a 24-page magazine, 10,000 copies in the area. You know I give infomercials everywhere. We'll talk the magazine later, but I do want to promote one thing. Chip, I need your assistance here. Howard Hanna, one of my good friends from childhood days. We know each other for, believe it or not, since we were about 4 or 5 years old. He's the manager at Upper St. Clair, Howard Hanna's office. And they have an event for the Children's Free Care Fund. It's a black and gold party. Sunday, November 24th. Doors open at noon, $35 per person. There's opportunities for people to get a table for 2 people. You get tickets and everything, $150. It goes to the Children's Free Care Fund for Children's Hospital. They're predicting they'll raise $800,000 this year. They do a lot of great, the game's Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. It'll be at Peters Place in Bridgeville. So it's going to be a great time. There's tickets. They're going to have block pools. Smoke and Jim can get on it, $20, for a block. There'll be a lot of money going around for a great cause. So check that out. And then I wanted to give a little promo to, let's see what I have here, Kelly's Collections. She's one of our advertisers. She just come on board. 616 and a half Brookline Boulevard. I've been to her place. You've heard some stories that I've said. She has a lot of great deals. She has some good prices on anything with sports. So check that out. Let's see what else I got here. One more of my bag of tricks. We had a guest yesterday that just signed up to sponsor. He was at Sip Sports Bar.
Yes, sir.
Aaron Jenton. He's just great. He invented a golf simulator where you can play up to 80 different courses with one of the most realistic feel and look to it. And he also can straighten out your club for you. He has some tricks and other technology that will fix your golf swing. So anybody that golfs, contact Aaron. He's been a guest on our show a couple times, and he'll be back. He said he wants to be back after a major tournament. So him and Chip can talk badly about Tiger Woods when I say he's going to win a major. All right, that's my promotions. We're going to go right to boxing right now because we got a legendary ring announcer, and this must be our second anniversary. It's round number 2, and I learned that from the legend right there. Andy, take it away with boxing. I know you got a lot of information, and we're going to ask you questions.
Great. Well, it's been an interesting year for me. I had the pleasure this year of introducing a documentary that was produced in the Ukraine regards the 2 Klitschko brothers.
Congratulations.
Oh, it was wonderful. I was at the Ukraine Society debut of this film. The Russians put the film together. I think it appeared that they were rubbing the nose of the American boxing enthusiasts because these 2 Russian brothers own all the heavyweight belts in the 4 boxing entities that provides belts. Wow. So they're dominating the heavyweight division. One of the Klitschkos holds 3 of the belts. The other holds 1 of the belts. The only way to get a unified boxing champion, they would have to fight each other to get to the unified belt. However, they both promised their mother that they were never going to fight each other. So there's never going to be a fight between the 2 brothers, and they're going to both hold the belts until they're either defeated or retired. One of the Klitschkos is ready to retire. He will not probably fight. He will retire as a winner. That will then open that belt up for sort of a round-robin tournament. The American interests are going to flood that tournament with great heavyweights, and we may have one in Pittsburgh developing right now, Freddie Latham.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Freddie Latham is a local heavyweight, trains out in the Plum area at the Police Athletic League gym out there, managed by his father, and co-managed by a friend of mine and trainer, Derek Jonta.
Yes, sir.
So with Mr. Latham and Derek, they've got Freddie in a good position to vie for maybe that vacant belt.
That'd be great.
He's got to win a little more. 6-0 currently. He's fighting in about a month, and he's on his way. He had 1 knock against him all through his amateur careers that he didn't like to train. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they put the pressure on him, and he's keeping himself very physically fit. And he's a big boy, power puncher, great jabs. He could be one of the candidates to take that vacant belt. They will then get an American, I think, in position to take the belt, and then they'll go after Klitschko for the unified belt, which is what, as I say, the American interests want. So it's pretty interesting. Those two brothers are very interesting guys. One's a professor, a college professor. Wow. They were raised by a father who was a Russian military guy. The father got sent to Chernobyl after the tremendous tragedy there,
Yes.
and they were living within striking distance of the Chernobyl disaster. They survived it. Their father actually wound up being a victim of cancer from that experience.
No
He passed
surprise
away.
there.
Surprise there.
Right, it's pretty interesting. The two boys are worth in excess of $150 million currently.
I've got a question for you, Andy. Being a student of boxing as you are the Klitschkos that much better than everybody else in the heavyweight division, or is the talent pool diluted that has enabled them to hang on to the belts?
That's a good question. They're good. They're very boring to watch. They're stand-up style European boxers. They both pack powerful right-hand punches. They can whack you with that right hand and knock you right to the canvas. Eddie Chambers was a victim of one of them over the years, but that's been their style. I don't particularly like to watch them. The pool of heavyweights has declined quite a bit, but the American fighters are trying to change that. But the two boys, first of all, they're huge specimens they're 6'7", 6'6". They probably click the scales at about 250 or so. So they're powerful guys, very well disciplined trainers. Got most of their formal training in Germany, believe it or not. Yeah, they wound up in Germany as young guys and got a lot of their formal boxing training right there in Germany. So that's the situation at the top. Everybody's waiting for the heavyweights to take over boxing again. You know, I mean,
It's always been the glamour division.
It is. It's it's the big guys. It's the power punchers. The Tysons and
Joe Louis,
Marciano,
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali. They're impressive to see. When you get a good heavyweight fight, you really enjoy it, and especially if you're sitting close by the ringside or even in the building. Some of the punches vibrate through the whole
Andy, we got to concur with you. We had Jason Bergman on our show.
Oh, what a
and
guy.
we also broadcast that. Here's what I heard.
Exactly.
One punch hit him, and then he was down. Smoking Jim gave one of the greatest calls. You have to check that out.
Oh, I will.
Yeah,
He hit him with a left hook that would have stopped a truck.
Wow.
and he's a quiet giant. He was so quiet on the show. He come to our show right after the fight, and he brought his belt to us. So we're promoting that. I wanted to get on some of the local boxing because you're all over that.
Well, it's interesting. We had our first official show of the season just last Saturday. We were at the Royal. Jimmy Savetic, I'm speaking of.
Right. The legend of Golden Gloves.
He's like the guru in the amateur boxing.
I call him the legend of Pittsburgh Golden Gloves.
That's exactly what he is. President of Police Athletic League. Police Athletic League has done a lot for the growth of amateur boxing. They keep gyms active. They put on the fights that showcase the young kids. We've got about 2 or 3 good local fighters now. I got my money on Freddie Latham.
Okay.
Freddie Latham is my all-time favorite at this point. I got to know him very well. He comes in my store a lot. He trains out there in Plum.
Is he training on your subs?
Sometimes he does. Sometimes he does. But he's my pick. But there are 2 other very great boxers. Sammy Vasquez goes without saying.
Yes, sir.
That kid is he's so special, and he's a great young man, articulate, good spokesperson for the game.
We announced the fights, and we saw him that night, and the fights went up, and we're showing that on the air. They already were on the air the other day, so we did put them out on Verizon 32 all over the area
Wow.
and on Comcast 7. So you can see it, and then it'll be up on YouTube later on in another week
He
or so.
travels with an incredible crowd, too. His dad's his biggest promoter.
Who can?
Mexican.
And American. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Mexican American.
Yeah.
And they come to any fight
They have shirts like it.
in mass. They wear shirts. They throw T-shirts out to the crowd. They just captivate the crowd, too. So he's developed a tremendous
He's
following.
still coming in the Hummer?
No Hummer this time.
No.
No, that wasn't there. But he is a good guy. When I shook his hand, he feels just like his table. He's in such shape. Smoking Jim will verify that.
Yes, sir.
We had a great conversation with him. Rod Salka won another belt that night.
Right.
So a lot of great boxing here. Then I want to get to this reality show. Okay?
Well, I'm going to be announcing that show.
And congratulations, because of you, these guys threw me into the ring. I never did ring announcing. I've announced on the ring side. Smoking Jim goes, will you bring a suit out? Do you have a suit? I go, yeah. It was 110 degrees at Wolfpack Boxing Club.
Yes.
They have a great facility. Jeff Mucci, the owner, we interviewed him at the last fight.
Right,
Just a
right.
great thing. His gym is growing leaps and bounds. Well, they put me out there, and it's reality TV. I've not watched one reality TV show in my life. Because of you, I'm on there. I did not one, but 2 fights because of you. I stole some of your lines. I want to thank you for putting out there what you do, because you're just such a professional that I have the greatest respect for you. And I talked to Jimmy today, and he told me you're announcing ringside, so that'll be fantastic.
They're back. They're back. Esquire TV.
160 on Verizon,
That's
number
correct.
160.
They love the experience in Pittsburgh. They got a nice response, good feedback. So they're back. This one's going to be held up in West Liberty Avenue at the movie theater up
The
there.
Hollywood Theater, there's going to be a
Hollywood
red carpet event.
That's correct.
Smoking Jim and I guess you and others are going to be in a limousine.
Coming in a limo.
Now, I don't know where they're picking us up at. Since I live in the South, he lives in the East, you're East. So I don't know who they're picking up, but Jimmy just told me that. And there's going to be a red carpet treatment for us there.
That is a great concept. It's called White Collar Brawl.
Yes.
What they do, Chip, you may not know this, they take local residents or workers in a certain company, and they discover or try to see if any of those people within that company want to fight each other.
Or they don't like each other or something.
So they schedule a fight in this White Collar Brawl between these 2 characters. Now, they are required to train very seriously. They have to get certified by the amateur associations. Doctors have to be involved. But they actually train up to the point of the night of the fight, and they actually get in the ring and fight a 3-rounder against each other.
When they're fighting a 3-rounder, are they wearing headgear, or are
Yeah,
they, or
yeah,
they,
they're-
or are they,
they're
they
fighting-
going
Hold
like
it,
they're
you have to
in-
watch the show. November 19th.
Yeah, November 19th.
We're supposed to be on that same
up,
night.
I've read up on the premise of the show, and I'm glad they didn't talk to any of my employees.
He has some big guys that come around right across from my house at the Bethel Retirement Home. Not that I drop names, but his company, they're spraying all that poison to kill everything.
Yeah.
They won't come over to my yard and squirt it. But no, with that white collar brawling, they just put up online like a 30-minute clip.
Yeah.
So I'm right in the middle of it, and I'm right
I saw
there.
you. You're right between the two
Yeah,
fighters.
and we had some fun with.
I don't know if that's a good place for you to be.
Well,
You almost got the trainers to fight
yeah,
too.
we'll talk. We'll
Oh,
give
yeah.
them a little tease.
Yeah, a little
You know the trainers, Johnny Spells and Darren Roby.
Yeah, Dobie, yeah.
Yeah, Darren, they were going at it a little bit there. I don't know if they kept it because they said they liked that. So we had a lot of fun with it, and they loved it here in Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, Jimmy Savetic's going to go lecture at a college.
That's correct.
So
Really?
he's now, I wanted to announce that. He's not only a legend here, he's a legend with the reality TV boxing, and he's going to New York. I forget where he said.
Really?
At their request, they've set this up for him. This
Yeah.
Esquire TV is what it's called.
Right.
And he's going to lecture at a college with a program that they set up for them. So it's getting pretty serious now, apparently.
And they're going to come back and do filming here. They're supposed to show it that night at the theater. Am I right,
That's
Andy?
correct.
So,
Is that the same college that George the Animal Steele's the professor
No,
at?
no, that's different. That's a little different. We'll talk wrestling. You're mixing wrestling with boxing.
And they
We got Andy Sebastian here. No mixing the
They
wrestling.
don't study any generals.
They are the generals there. But that's the type of fun that's going to be there. Stay tuned with all of this. And here's the other thing I want to announce for Jimmy Savetic. He is having so many people there, but it's free to get in. But here's what you have to do. Donate toys for the kids. Bring a toy, and you can get a ticket. So, Chip, you and Stephanie, each of you buy a toy. You can come out there, and you can be involved in this, too. Smoke and Jim and I are going to most likely give some tickets away at Sip Sports Bar over the next couple weeks.
When's this going to be on?
November 19th.
I'll put it on the calendar.
I'm telling you, put it on the calendar now.
I always like to
Here's the
contribute
problem
to
we have, though.
worthy
It's a
causes.
Tuesday night.
That's correct.
So we're discussing on what we do with the show because we got this streak.
It's your show night, yeah.
So it's our show. But I am going to make an exception, and we're going to go to the event.
You need
and
me
do
to hold
that.
down the fort.
Wait,
Maybe me and little Zeke can hold down
Well, I
the
don't
fort.
know if we'll do that, but I'm not letting my streak go. We'll be doing filming before that, so you guys may have to wait about 20 minutes
Hey, you know
before you
what?
get to speak.
We could pre-record it if you want.
Well, we've already discussed that. There's some plans on the way, but we're not going to miss this, and we'll see what we can do, with the show. We just can't broadcast from another place. We don't have a satellite dish yet to do that. But we're talking that, Andy, so we definitely want to be a part of it.
Well, Jim has this set up, like you say, to donate a toy to get in free.
That's great. I love it.
I don't know if you guys are aware of what Jim does at Christmas time. He's been doing this for years. He collects all these toys, wraps them all.
Right.
Hundreds, maybe thousands of them.
I didn't know that.
And he gets a list of needy families. The Pittsburgh police help him a lot with the list.
Oh, that's great.
And on Christmas Eve, he's had me out there, has John Flanagan crazy half the time. He goes to these places, runs up to the door, rings the doorbell, and runs back to the truck. Doesn't say anything, just drops these big
Secret Santa kind of
sacks.
thing.
I heard about people
Yeah.
doing it. I didn't know that was Jimmy that did
I'll
that.
tell you
though.
what, that's something I would definitely want to contribute to. 'Cause that's about as
awesome.
worthy of a cause as you
Well,
can do.
anybody interested, come to Sip Sports Bar Monday and the next
You'll have
couple
the
weeks.
particulars, yeah.
We'll have more details on the tickets and everything, and we're just going to just blast that out everywhere. You'll see it on Pittsburgh Sportsline, Facebook, and anywhere else. So
Absolutely.
with anybody doing good and positive things here in the city of Pittsburgh, we're all for it. And that's part
Absolutely.
of what we believe in. So
Absolutely.
And we'll figure out the details with November 19th on what we do here. So.
Some pretty smart guys. You'll figure it out.
We've already been talking about it. I knew a couple weeks ago about this.
And
so.
it's all that stuff that keeps giving. I'm doing a show for Danny Shaw, who runs a Toys for Tots boxing show in New Kent.
Ari, when is it?
November. God, I want to say.
Or we'll get the details.
Yeah, it's in November sometime.
Because we have a boxing match that you're going to be involved with November 9th.
Yes.
Isn't there at the Royal Place?
The Royal Place.
We're
yeah.
getting the cameras lined up for that.
wonderful.
So if Aaron Ward's listening, you just got another job, another gig's coming up November 9th. Andy's going to be there, Smoking Jim and I.
We had a nice show there about 2 weeks ago. A lot of young kids. There are some really
Anybody
really,
stand out for you that you want to mention? 'Cause
promising young guys. The generation is turning over now.
Yes, sir.
We're starting to see younger kids again at the juniors and the cadet levels. There was a young man who came down from Erie. He's 15 years old. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. He was an unbelievable fighter that night. Just dominated the show. He fought a kid from the Braddock Pal.
Wow.
and that's a tough gym.
That's a
very
tough
tough
neighborhood.
Well, you should see the boxers there, Chip. They're well trained and they're pretty strong.
Well, you got that big mayor there, that Fetterman guy,
Fetterman, yes.
who's putting a lot behind supporting what's going on in Braddock.
Oh yeah.
I mean, thank
Well,
God for that guy. He's pretty-
Get them off the streets and
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
gyms. Yeah,
and-
absolutely.
Getting the facility together for them.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy has the PAL organization behind it. And it's pretty fascinating to see them developing some nice talent. They haven't been at it that long, maybe a year and a half or so,
Right.
2 years. they're bringing some great talent on board.
Well, we're going to find out more about your new Ken thing. We're going to be wrapping
Good.
this up. We only got about 4.5 minutes.
Okay.
And I wanted to cover Steelers. Smoke and Jim, do you have a pick with the Steelers? You predicted 10-6. So we got to. What's it look like in Oakland? Is that a trap game or what?
Well, one thing is, Oakland's quarterback, Terrell Pryor, is going to outplay Ben. Both of them
I heard that last night.
Both of them will pass for over 400 yards. Pittsburgh Steelers will win the football game, but you're looking at two of the best quarterbacks in the league, Terrell Pryor and Big Ben Roethlisberger. But the Pittsburgh Steelers go 3-4. They win 3 in a row.
There you go.
I have to differ from you because if Ben Roethlisberger throws for 400 yards in that game, the Steelers will definitely lose. I'm saying Ben's going to throw for 200, and the Steelers' defense is going to get their first score of the year.
And the running game started to wake up, so we got a little running going there. Maybe on Bell.
Terrell's going to be serving one up to Troy.
No lead cinch pipe bet on this one, so we got that covered.
I picked the Steelers to win.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I've been telling you my 11-5 prediction. It's in the toilet bowl, so that's okay.
I'm going to go with
Not
the
yet,
Steelers.
Jay. Not yet, Alan. Got to believe.
I'm going to go with the
believe.
Steelers as well, but keep your eye on Terrell Pryor.
Yes, sir.
He's running. His legs are working for him now. He's a dangerous. He found a home out there. I think the Oakland Raiders opened their arms, welcomed him aboard. He's got a great opportunity. And I saw him play as a high school player.
Wow.
Well, you two are great fans of him. We know that already.
I think he got far enough away from the bad influences at home, and now maybe he's got a chance to get his head screwed on straight.
Well, we'll hope. But I want to move a little bit here. A friend of mine, Corey O'Connor, with the City Council of Pittsburgh, got a proclamation in there. They voted. Today was Pittsburgh Pirate Day. October 23rd was
Really?
Yeah, Pittsburgh Pirate Day. So that was throughout the city today.
Mm-hmm.
They promoted that everywhere. Give you a little of my fiction and facts, Smoke and Jim.
Wow.
So that was quite an honor.
That's
No, they
Bob
did not have a parade, but they did get the proclamation because you have to win a World Series, a Stanley Cup, a Super Bowl.
That's Bob
something.
O'Connor's son, correct? Former
Yes.
mayor.
Yeah, very nice guy. Runs a nice office and
It's a
everything.
shame his dad didn't get a chance to do some better things here as mayor.
Real quick, did anybody happen to hear the A.J. Burnett interview?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
He laid it out there.
Yeah, he did.
You want to know what? After that interview, I think some of the sports talk people on the radio are trying to make him into something that he's not. And after listening to his interview, I got more respect for that guy, and I really hope the Pirates find a way to put him on the roster for next year. He's been nothing but good for the Pirates, for the changing the culture of losing that existed here, and he's been nothing but a great mentor to the young pitching staff. So I hope he stays.
Well, I like him as a pitcher. He's been a tough guy. I don't care the opinions on it because I care about the W's. He had 209 strikeouts. At his age, that was like the top in the league there for.
He gives you 200 innings every year, and that's just like money in the bank.
He left us in that interview with it's the Pirates or nobody. That's the way I got it. He was going to retire if he couldn't work it out with the Pirates.
It'll be nobody. You can't pay him $14 million a year.
Well, if the Yankees want to subsidize him again, then that would be nice. But I don't see it happening.
Well,
so, I mean, we'll be hopeful, and maybe they can find some money because you got a lot of nice young players coming up, too.
Let me tell you something. The Pirates are going to have an infusion of television money. Each of the franchises are getting $27 million out of the new latest television contract. I think the Pirates are going to find a way to make it happen.
Let's pocket some of that.
Well, we're gonna
Now, they're going
discuss
to take
that.
some out of my pocket. With
We're
my season
going to
ticket.
discuss that later at another show. I want to thank Andy Sebastian for making a special trip here. I appreciate it. He's one of the best. You got to meet him when he comes back to Sips Sports Bar. You can talk to him. Smoking Jim Frazier, thanks for a great night and information. Chip the Prophet Hayner, still making predictions, so we'll see what happens with the Cards in 5. The Cards are going to win it. Thanks, Bethel Park, Dave Cable, John, Aaron, Devin, everybody that makes us look great on this show, and you for watching the shows. We appreciate all the great feedback. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Second year anniversary.